alcoholic. Um, had 4 years sober 2 days ago. Coming at you again. This video is basically it's about alcoholism. So if you watch my other videos, I got a bunch of other videos up about this stuff. But I've been drinking since I was 5 and raised an alcoholic family and all this stuff. And then in other videos, I told you about the denial and all that. And how they need to get detox correctly and all that stuff. So I've already covered all of that. If you dig, if you look at my stupid videos, you'll know that already. And then I talked a little bit about codependency in the last one, and then now I'll talk about like different treatment programs after they break their denial. They have to first, they really have to talk to another alcoholic, because alcoholics only kind of understand each other. They live the same life for years. And most people that haven't had a problem with alcoholism don't really understand it. And it's best for the alcoholic to talk to another one. So that usually winds up in AA meetings. But I got really mixed feelings about AA. But it's the best place for somebody to go to identify with another alcoholic. But as far as the program itself, I think it's jaded. I think it's rigid. I think it's, well, maybe it's the people, but it actually is those. And there's a lot of guilt. It's a big guilt thing. When they wrote the big book, like the alcoholic was a bad person and all that stuff, and just really guilt-ridden, just a lot of guilt, which is the last thing someone that's a drunk needs, because they might act cocky or like I'm a movie star, I've starred in a couple of movies and all that, they might have a big ego and all that stuff, but deep down inside, they have enough of guilt and shame as it is. They don't need any more. Because deep down inside, they knew what they were doing, and for years they wanted to stop, and they regretted what they were doing, and they couldn't. So they have enough of that. But Alcoholics Anonymous puts a lot of guilt and a lot of shame on people. And there's a lot of pricks and there's a lot of control freaks that think that they have the answer to stop. And they push their BS on other people. And new people that have been battered from alcoholism, they're really beaten up, they're willing to listen to all the garbage from these control freaks that spew out all their guilt trips and how great they are and how they work the program or the steps better and all this stuff. There's a lot of really nasty people in AA, and a lot of control freaks. Like some people are chemically imbalanced, they need meds. Some people have problems with depressions. Most alcoholics have problems with depressions because if you drink a depressant for 20 or 30 years, your brain chemistry is going to be towards depression. So some alcoholics definitely need antidepressants, And in AA, you have a lot of these people that play doctor, and they're no medical doctor, and they have no right to go into that area, or they want to play therapist, and they want to use that particular program and all these guilt trips and this manipulation, and how much time they got sober to try to preach to everybody else how they did it, And I've heard it all and seen it all and done it all. And if you don't, I'll just go into a little bit just to let you know how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who's thoroughly followed a path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give to themselves the simple program. They are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing our manner of living. They're such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. Blah, 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 all that good stuff. And that's just old whatever. I think you have to find your own path after you identify with another drunk. Like in my case, I just had severe, horrible abuse issues. And I've met some other people that have horrible abuse issues. And they have PTSD. And they drank because they were an alcoholic, but also it was to just mask all the horrible crap that they went through, whether it was child abuse or getting shot at or getting parts of their body blown off or whatever, in warfare or whatever. They have PTSD. And in AA, that always doesn't get addressed correctly, and it's better that the person gets into therapy and gets professional help. And in my case, that was what was necessary, or I would not be making this video. Even though I'm, drinking after 4 years, I wouldn't have gone this long in life unless I got the right help. And I wasn't able to get that in Alcoholics Anonymous. So the path is different depending on the person's experience. They need to identify with the drunk. They need to get detoxed correctly so they don't die. And eventually, after they get some time, like a lot of people think, well, I have 90 days, 3 months off alcohol. Well, after 3 months off alcohol, basically you can sleep again. You have a normal sleep pattern and stuff, and you're starting to stabilize a little bit, but it takes like 6 months or a year. It depends on how long you've been drinking and how heavy, and then you can start dealing with the mental stuff. You can take your time, but I recommend utilizing the medical profession and people that deal with PTSD and abuse issues and all that stuff. But it's a delicate balance there because a lot of those professionals are not alcoholics, so they don't know how to really deal with the alcoholism. So they can put the alcoholic back in denial. Like I had this one shrink that convinced me that it was okay that I could socially drink again, and I tried socially drinking again, But he was good in other areas. So there's not one all fix it all, Alcoholics Anonymous is the best program in the world. AA is great and all that stuff, but the person can't rely on that entirely. They will have to seek outside help. And good outside help, because if the outside help puts them back in denial and then they get back into the problem again, then that's no good. But if they're solely in AA and they don't deal with their problems, that's not good either. And the steps in AA and the guilt trips, like, I don't believe in God. And I've never really believed in God. I tried believing in God. I thought I believed in God, but I just don't. And like if I bring that up in a meeting, I'll get attacked. I'm not working the program right. I'm not working the steps right. Guilt trips. And we already have enough of guilt as it is, and shame, and insecurity, and fear, and all that other stuff. And just to have these nasty people because I don't believe in the God or their God or whatever, and it's written in the program and it's got to be regimented in exactly that way and all that God stuff, that chases a lot of people out. And they have to go on their own road, you know. And so that was one of my biggest struggles with going to meetings. So basically what I did was I just took the good parts and then I left the rest. You know, I listened to what I wanted to hear and I basically ignored what I didn't want to hear. So you can't let anybody there's a lot of control freaks that want to tell you how to do it. And that it's only this way and you got to work the steps this way, and that's not true. I mean, on the flip side, I've known some people that left AA and they went in totally into religion and they're living normal lives and they have families and they have a regular job and they're not drinking, and that worked for them, you know, and they went the religious route or whatever, but that never worked for me. And I've met people that died sober and lived a long life in sobriety and they didn't believe a word of the God stuff and all that. So it's just, AA is kind of messed up in that way. So you just have to take the good, you have to take what you can and leave the rest. It's a tricky thing. And then I felt a lot of guilt in all that because like I have like years, I have blank spots that in my life that I'll never get back, and then I felt really guilty and shamed for not remembering years and places where I went and things I did, and then I studied, you know, like brain chemistry, and I studied all that stuff, and basically, you know, with alcohol and drugs, it's like it's not recording. The memories don't go into the brain, so they're gone. That's gone. You just have to accept that, you know, you're not in jail for whatever you did. If you did something you should be in jail for, or whatever, you know, whatever you did or whatever happened, you know, that you lost on your years and stuff. I've learned to accept that. Well, actually, I'm still struggling with that, but that will maybe never come back. That didn't get recorded in the brain.